Consider for a moment the fact of your existence. There are a lot of things, namely ideas, beliefs, concepts, thoughts, that we can be skeptical about, and rightfully so. That we should be skeptical about. And bring under scrutiny of deconstruction. Why do we believe certain things? Why do we think certain things? Why do we see the world and ourselves in certain ways? Does it need to be that way? Has it always been that way? Etc. However, the fact that you are cannot be refuted, cannot be doubted. Cannot be brought into question. You can't get around it. You can't get behind it. In the deepest sense, you are. And with that comes the recognition that you didn't have to be. You over there listening to me over here is arising in the same field of awareness or beingness or presence. That given awareness, beingness, presence, that fact that you are, undeniably so, undoubtedly so, inescapably so, is spontaneously occurring. You are not making it happen. At the deepest level, you did not create yourself. You did not think yourself into existence. And it did not need to be so. and yet it is. You did not need to be so, and yet you are. And of course, there's a lot of intellectual, philosophical, scientific conjecture regarding the details of existence. But that misses the point that I'm pointing to right now. Don't get lost in more ideas, in more thoughts, in more concepts about something that's beyond ideas, thoughts, concepts, beliefs. You do not have to believe that you exist to exist, or to know that you exist, or to taste existence. Look into the heart of what I'm saying for a moment. The fact of existence. You simply are, rather than are not. In fact, you can't even conceive of not being, because it's a lie. It's a fallacy. It's one reason why death scares us psychologically, because it seems to go against our very eternal nature. But that in and of itself is a misperception of death itself. It may seem redundant to hear me say you are rather than are not. It may seem obvious, and it is. It's abundantly obvious. So obvious that it's usually overlooked. You didn't have to be, and yet you are. And that, among other unanswerable inquiries, is the stuff of authentic religion and spirituality, and has always been. It's the grand mystery that all of the other bells and whistles and ornamentals are hanging on. And so why, how do we have the nerve to make spirituality, religion, and life itself, for that matter, about me, me, me. That, as I have said elsewhere, is the realm of mainstream, conventional, relative-based healing arts and therapy, which have their place. But when healing arts and therapy get confused for, at essence, spirituality and religion, problems get created. Healing arts and therapy are very much about the person, personal problems, healing the person, healing the body, healing the mind. Making me a better person. For whatever reason and motivation, it doesn't matter. In that context, under the right guidance, that is very appropriate and a healthy endeavor. But when you step into the realm of authentic spirituality and religion, you are suddenly transported into the transpersonal, beyond the personal. The fact that you are here but didn't have to be and didn't make it be and even can't ultimately answer how or why you are here. Besides, again, little offshoot trails that you might follow regarding your purpose, what you're supposed to do with your life, all of which, again, are meaningful questions to consider and should be investigated and explored. But especially since you don't know the answer to that grand mystery, then how dare you think you know what it's all about? And how dare you make it all about yourself? Authentic spirituality and religion has always been transpersonal. Which means when you step foot into that arena, it's no longer about you. In the good old days of religion, and I'm not saying we should go back there, because in a lot of ways it is outdated and unevolved and lower on the quote-unquote ladder in regards to stages of consciousness development. But there was a positive quality that I think has gotten lost along the way. The phrase, "don't throw the baby out with the bathwater," is appropriate here. The baby, it's always a pretty violent metaphor, so pardon me, but it's the best one I got for now, for lack of a better one. The baby, the precious baby of surrendering your own personal desires, will, needs, agenda, plans, identity got thrown out with the bathwater of gray-bearded man up in the clouds or dogmatic bigotry, bathwater. Whatever else gets included in bathwater, that precious, pure, innocent baby that's a good quality got thrown out too. But maybe the baby can be re-included as we transcend and grow and evolve. In the realm of spirituality and religion, when you don't consciously step into that realm, fine. Make it all about yourself. Be very personally affected by stuff. Think that you're already not whole. Think that you have to do therapy and healing arts, and that everybody else needs to change in order to make you happy, and that your fulfillment comes from other people. That's fine. Even though I have an opinion that eventually that doesn't work. Or never works, but you eventually come face to face with the choice of realizing that or not. I think everyone should step into the realm. I think this entire life, in fact, is the realm of spirituality and religion. Again, you are here and you don't know why. You are here and it needn't be otherwise. You are here and it needn't be so. It could be otherwise, and yet you are. So, along with the pursuits that I've already mentioned of authentic spirituality and religion, part of the journey on that path is to dive deeply into these mysteries. And usually the mystery itself is like the lotus flower that blooms from the mud. The question itself is the one that sets you free, not the answer. What's my purpose? Is assumed to have happiness in the answer. If I could just figure that out. Who or what is God? If I could just figure that out. Then liberation or healing is found in the answer. Why do I feel this way? Why is my mind messed up? Bypasses the miracle of the mind in the first place, the miracle of perception. And I know we are very broken over the word God, which is one reason why I like to continue using it in deeper and higher contexts to face our fear around it, because very often, and to face our wounding and baggage around it, very often folks that use the word universe or spirit instead of God actually are just changing the costume, but are relating with that, whatever it means, in the same way as they are angry at, say, the fundamentalist Christians, the magic mythic Christians, for using it. They've just dressed it up in a different outfit. It matters where it's coming from, what vibration it holds. So always, in authentic spirituality and religion, you work toward releasing contracted self-identity. And by the way, this word selfless that we have interpreted to mean like put other people before ourselves, or very kind to other people, or willing to give the shirt off of our back, or something like that. Really, selfless comes more from the deep Zen understanding of no self, which means there's no more personal identity here. There's no more personal agenda here. There's no more personal contraction here. There's no more personal will here. And to some, again, understandably so, that starts to sound like weakness, or scary, or like cult speak. Yeah, it is cult speak if I were to be asking you to give over your personal will to me, or if you were not under the guidance of a competent instructor that's trying to manipulate and control you in that way, yes. But God, the transcendent and yet immanent, the completely exalted and other and yet intimately connected and present principle that's behind, in, and through, that spontaneously inspires, breathes life, breathes spirit into life. That which holds you here when it could be otherwise, and yet it's not. That is God. Don't you want to discover a relationship with that? Don't you want to surrender the white-knuckled grip and clinging to what you call or think of as your life, your purpose, your meaning, your happiness, that actually is not working, has gotten you into a lot of trouble? Even your problems, your suffering. The way this place is designed and set up is you continue to run into dead ends and like Holomir's Funhouse and difficulties until you surrender rather than continue fighting, rather than continue perpetuating, until you let go. And the wonderful spoiler alert here, but you have to go through it in order to see it, and just because I'm spoiling it and telling you the end of the story doesn't make it easier. It just lets you know this is a part of the process. This is a template. The wonderful spoiler alert is actually when you relinquish your own self identity, which is actually weak, even in its so-called strength, then true strength, true power, true flow, without trying, without having to put effort toward it, a new force animates itself into you, inspires you, artistically, creatively, interpersonally, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically. And yes, healing happens, but not the way you thought in the therapy, healing arts, personal world. A benevolent, loving intelligence that you used to be afraid of projecting all of your unresolved human stuff onto. But you don't get to experience that love and benevolence until you let go. This is the only way to freedom. So authentic spirituality and religion has always been one where you work toward, through practices, teachings, principles, a lifestyle. This work with me, spirituality and religion, is not just to spruce up your current life. You can get some benefits for your current life. And in fact, there are healing arts and therapeutic aspects to spirituality and religion, especially if you have a good instructor and guide. But that's not what it's about. Those can be components. What if your suffering, in large part, comes from that resistance in yourself to the flow of life, to what is, to the will of God? In A Course in Miracles, there's a concept that goes something like, your will is God's will is your will, you just don't know it yet. So the struggle comes, the suffering comes, the neurotic suffering comes from not recognizing that, where you are, to use a more commonly accepted cliche New Age term, out of alignment with your path, but not a personal path, out of alignment with, and also not like what I was supposed to contribute here on this earth. That's part of it, and you'll contribute, and then you'll leave. Or the world will just shut off when you die, and it didn't exist anyway outside of your awareness. All the things you thought mattered didn't. In deep dreamless sleep, who are you? So, through practices, you have to find inherent value in this, and somewhere deep down you do. But you just don't know it yet. True and authentic spirituality and religion, which is the realm that I exist in and present my offerings in, is transcending personal, and don't think suppressing, because that's the instant interpretation. Transcending, giving into an intelligence, a benevolence, a wisdom that wants to embody itself as you in your unique body-mind vessel, with strength, power, wisdom, grace, flow, fun, laughter, happiness, beauty, but you're not letting it. You have your own agenda. You've made all of this about you. There's also a process in true spirituality and religion by which, at first, the seeker, we'll say, sees itself as separate from God and begins a journey to get to know God, build a relationship with God, connect with God. And then, if you persist, and if grace is bestowed, if you're ready for it in this lifetime, then there will be a union of human and divine, relative and ultimate, you and God, in a direct and experiential way, where there's less separation. God isn't way up there and I'm way down here, lowly, sinful, messed up human. And that's the meaning of the incarnation. God humbling God's self into you. But that's also the meaning of divination. You exalting yourself or being exalted through that incarnation process into God. And then finally, the third step is to recognize that there is no other. There is no you versus God. But that can't be properly understood by the ego, which is why this is such a pearl of precious price. You can't have this and still have this. You can't have the transpersonal and still be in the personal. You can't understand oneness with the divine when there's still egoic tendencies and predispositions and beliefs. The ego and the person cannot enter that hallowed ground. And so there might be stuckness where you've not yet let go of that. And it ain't easy, or otherwise everybody be doing it. So I can help. It's a process. Thank you for listening. I'd love to field any of your questions, either through comments or reaching out to me directly. Check out my website, kalianacenter.com. If you'd like to throw a few bucks of donation and support, feel free. There's a donate tab, but that's not required at all. I would appreciate your likes and subscribes on whatever platform I have this on. If you feel so led, it will only assist in getting this out to more people, as I refuse to compromise and sell out to the mainstream standard social media approaches, especially in the realm of spirituality and religion, with censorship and everything else that's going on in the world these days. This is important. So I need your help to spread the word. Share this with your friends and loved ones. Currently, we have a group that meets every other week online. There will be retreat opportunities in the future. Sign up for my email list also on the website if you want to be kept up to date on new publications, new teachings, new opportunities to work with me, etc. This is important for me, this is important hopefully for you, and this is important for the collective, especially with the times that we're in. I also definitely would love special requests, topics, questions, inquiries, subjects that you'd like to hear my opinion, my perspective on. And hopefully I'm breathing a breath of fresh air into certain things that have kind of gone stale in this spiritual world. The world of spirituality, that is. Thank you again. Much love. Namaste.